Hi everyone, my name is Emma Lilliestam and I'm an IT security geek. And by extension that means that I am a fearmonger. Basically what we tend to do is that we tell you everything that you do that is wrong and that is dangerous and that will get you in trouble. And we do this in the hopes that you will do the better thing. But what actually instead happens is a phenomenon called security fatigue. And this means that instead of doing what we want you to do, because it's a right thing, you do nothing at all or you do the bad thing. Because we have been fear-mongering too much about everything you shouldn't do and being very negative and everything like that. Which is why this talk is not going to be a fearmonger talk. And if I do fearmonger, I want a volunteer who will do like this. Okay, so who is up for it? That's too far in the back. You have to be in front then. Come on. You have to be there. Sit there. Yeah. And don't be afraid to use it, because really what it needs to be like, I will fail at least once. So please, use it. So every time that I fearmonger, you will do like this. And you can do it together or you can do it individually. And in order to not fearmonger, I need to tell you that there's a difference between security and privacy. And these two are often intertwined because they are similar, but they are not exactly the same. And also I can talk a lot nicer about security than I can about privacy because of the allies that we have. So when it comes to Google and Facebook and Apple and even the US government, they are really good at being a security ally for us. But when it comes to privacy, we maybe have Apple. So the goal for me here is to present you tools that will take 2 minutes or less to implement. They should be install and forget. They should have no margin cost, and also that I should not fearmonger with you. The goal for you is not to be afraid, and that everyone attending here will implement 3 or more of these tips. And please approach me if you want help with it. So we start with the basics. Two-factor authentication. Who of you has this on your mail account? So that's about half. This is a very, very powerful tool. It basically, like, if someone gets your mail account, they will get your full identity because they can reset all of your other passwords. So it takes less than 2 minutes to do this. Do it. Then we go to the extensions or add-ons, depending on what browser you have. The goal here is to limit attack vectors, meaning that if you have a smaller surface, attack surface, it's easier to defend it. And then I would firstly suggest the EFF Privacy Badger that will block third-party cookies, depending on how they behave. How many of you already have ad blocker? Yeah, that's great. Like almost everybody has it because it has a performance benefit too. Flash block, how many of you have it? Okay, not that many. It's a great thing to have too. It also increases your performance and your experience. There's a JavaScript blocker that sounds great in theory, but it really sucks because it breaks your internet. Don't do that one, yet at least. Mobile screen lock. So how many of you know your best friend's passcode to their phone? Yeah, for example. The thing is, they are extremely prone to shoulder surfing because we do them all the time. And for that reason, I would actually suggest that you use the fingerprint that you have in your middle or high-end phone. You should also have a graphic password that does not start in the corners. These 3 corners stand for 75% of the beginning nodes. This corner stands for 2%, which is the lowest. And preferably, you should also have more nodes. What's actually best here is to generate a random PIN code on a site that does that. Like Google it. The password manager. This is Edward Snowden's pro tip for you. The goal here is to stop password reuse and to create strong passwords and to store your passwords securely. So what this really is an encrypted file that talks to your browser as a browser plugin. And it also has a password generator. So you see, this is the password generator for LastPass. A good thing is not to make it pronounceable because it will weaken your passwords considerably. To include all of these cases if you can, and like have a ridiculously long password. Now I have it on 40 now, especially if they don't accept all of these different types of symbols. You should make it longer. The whole goal here is that you will never have to remember them. So just go crazy, do like 160 characters and see if it breaks or not. Yeah, this is an extension for your browser. So LastPass and 1Password, yes? You're fucked. So write that one down, that's a great idea. Write it down and put it somewhere, like for example in your in a book that you like. Don't leave it on your desk, but put it somewhere safe. We are kind of actually great at keeping notes safe. This is also something that we intuitively understand as humans. So the LastPass and 1Password name refers to that this is the last password that you will have to remember. But you do have to remember a password to secure your password vault. And how do you do that? Well, I was actually talking about this last year at Geek Girl Meetup Öresund, and it's also on YouTube. Go check it out. But the short version is Google Diceware. It's an excellent utility. So the goal here is basically to create passwords that even the NSA cannot crack and that you can remember. Who of you were at my thing last year? Okay, we have like 4-5 people. Do you remember any part of the password that we did? Yes. So like we trained once 1 year ago, and at least one of you remember what we were talking about, like even like the small modules of this password. It's a great method. So sometimes we end up in a database leak. And this is a huge problem, especially when people think that, or companies think that this is a trade secret, and it will, it's bad for them to talk about it, and then they make it even worse. So when there's a public database, password database leak, they end up here at haveibeenpwned.com. It's made by a security researcher that's called Troy Hunt. And they have this utility, notify me when I get pwned. And there you'll also get the more sensitive breaks, like the Ashley Madison, the unfaithfulness site and stuff. And I see that some of you already are registering here, and that's great. So you can see that in my case, I have ended up in Adobe and Dropbox leaks. So if you have a Windows computer, I think it defaults to you being an administrator and surfing as a normal as an administrator all the time. And this is bad practice. What you should do is create a new account, make that one administrator, and demote your old account, or the one that you are using day to day. Also, it's very important to keep the user account control enabled. The prompt that say, do you accept? Do you accept that this publisher does this? And like, it's not perfect, but it's a first line of defense, and it's really important. And as far as I'm aware, most other OSs already defaults to that you are not surfing as an administrator, but you are a normal user, and that's really good. Automatic updates is also really important. This is to stay protected against known vulnerabilities, because there are a lot of known vulnerabilities, and these will end up in databases, and hackers, white hat hackers like me or black hat hackers alike, they go there and they look for the newest vulnerabilities and they exploit it. So it's really important to keep your OS updated. For example, with automatic updates, yes? Yeah, and that's also a problem here. You were talking about the pushing. I think it's really important that the trust between vendor and users is maintained, because this trust, without it, this very, very important infrastructure that we have around us, that we have built ourselves into, the trust is just gone. And that's a huge issue when people feel that, okay, I cannot take this security update because that will mean I will get the Windows 10 that I don't want. And for this reason also, the Apple versus FBI case, okay, this will probably trigger the alert. So, the Apple versus FBI case is about should authorities have the right to push fraudulent updates or backdoored updates into consumer products. And Apple says, no, absolutely not. We will lose market shares, and this is also wrong. So it's really, really important that Apple win this case. Yeah, oh, too bad. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, and this is the reason I don't talk about privacy in this talk, because this is, thank you. I will not state it in the microphone, because then it will end up in the YouTube and be a fearmonger. So I leave it out. Encrypt your devices. The goal here is to protect your data when your device is stolen. There are other perks to this too, but this is the main one. Your mobile phone is often encrypted by default, and this is great. You can Google it and see if yours is and if you can put it on. When it comes to Linux, you need to enable this at installation, which is, yeah, it's okay. The best one is actually Mac, that you can enable this file vault whenever, and you will never think of it again. It's so great. And if you have an enterprise edition of Windows, you can do the same with BitLocker, but you will have to pay the premium of enterprise. If you're a home edition person, you will have to pay for this, and I think it's a wrong way actually to make security a premium product, because people will actually not pay for it, and it will be less secure for everybody. There are some versions that are free of full disk encryption, even for Windows, like the VeraCrypt. But I don't know if it will take 2 minutes or less to make that. And this is my favorite thing. After the Snowden leaks in 2013, we realized that the NSA is watching everything. Okay, yeah, sorry, I I had to say it. And one of the things that came after this is that we now have utilities that actually counteract what the NSA does, or what we know that they do. So there's this amazing app that is called Signal, that you can only read the messages on the end node. Even if you intercept this on the way, and it will be intercepted, there is no way to know what's in it, and that's so great. And this Signal app, it has like everything. It's the first super secure app that has emojis. It's the first super secure app that has GIFs, and we also have auto-destruct messages. So now you can send your boob pics without fear. Also cautionary, don't send your boob pics with Snapchat, because the only thing that actually happens is that they end up in a server that you don't have control over. Yeah, not great. Who of you is using WhatsApp? Did you know that this is one of the most secure apps that we have? Yes, you already knew that. That's great. When they rolled out this end-to-end encryption with off the record, they made it accessible for 1 billion users like that. And that's a huge win for us. So use Signal and use WhatsApp if you, in the cases that you cannot use Signal. And that's basically it. So, do we have like 2 minutes? 1 minute. Which of the tips feel most appealing for you? Like, open question. Yes? The have I been pwned? Hmm? Lovely. Anyone else who wants to weigh in? Password manager or password? Yeah, okay, great. And yeah. Do you feel empowered to implement at least 3 of these things? Please do it, and get back to me and say, I did it. Yeah. So thank you.